Turn your mic on, sir. Are everyone's watches synchronized? All right. Calling to order the Parowan City Council meeting for January 27th, 2022 at 6 o'clock p.m. Welcome to all of you who have come out. I've asked Joe Tripp to give us a prayer and lead us in the pledge.
Our Father in heaven, we are grateful to gather this evening in this beautiful town. We are grateful for those who serve as leaders, as public servants, those who join and serve one another here in this community. We're grateful for this beautiful place. We pray that Thou wilt guide us this evening and guide our leadership as they make important decisions, that we will be able to act in love and kindness, and our minds will be clear and active and be able to discern what is the best decisions to make. We are grateful for our many blessings, for this free land. We pray for those who serve to protect our liberties, both locally and around the world. And we offer this prayer in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do we have any declaration of conflicts with personal interest on any of the agenda items by the City Council?
Mayor.
Yes.
On item number 8, A, Lily Shirtliff is my daughter, so I declare that conflict. It will not affect my vote.
Okay. Noted. Thank you. All right. I need a motion, back up here, to approve the meeting's agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting's agenda.
I'll second that motion.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So now we will open the time up to public comment. This time has been set aside for the public to express their ideas and concerns and comments. Please limit them to 2 minutes per person, and please avoid repetition if the comment has already been made had already been made. And also, when you approach, please state your name and your address.
Good evening, my name is Gary Aiken. Is that okay? My name is Gary Aiken. I live at 257 South, 1175 West, here in Parowan. And I have some questions prior to the Eagle Oil Annexation, Frida Ponder. Apparently the zoning is limited to 14 days, not up to 90 days, as in the business model proposed last meeting. Who and how will compliance be monitored, i.e. verifying length of stay, accounting, etc.? Many RV parks have conditional use zoning. Will we? With vacancy currently in the PD, how will local laws like noise abatement after 10 p.m., DUI, etc. be addressed? Is our fire department staffed, trained, and equipped for high-density incidents? And last, what will be the cost to provide for the above obligations? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am Cindy Bullock. I live at 56 South 400 East. I am here as a representative of Congressman Chris Stewart. I have been hired as his Southern Utah Director. He has wanted to kind of expand, I guess, his presence in Southern Utah. Adam Snow is the predecessor that handled this area, and as he has replaced Adam with myself and a woman by the name of Lorraine Cox, some of you may know her late husband, Dean Cox, was a commissioner in Washington County who recently passed away. In the geographical area, Lorraine is doing Washington County, and my area is Iron, Beaver, Kane, Wayne, Sevier, and until the redistricting maps take effect at the end of the year, I will also be doing some of Sanpete. I hope I didn't miss any of those counties. But I got it Parowan, so if there is anything that you need as a group that has a federal nexus, generally in this area, it's public lands. That's kind of where our feds seem to connect. But there may also be individual things, and I can help you with that as well. The congressman, as a veteran, that's kind of near and dear to his heart, so if there are veterans issues or really anything. Last year, the most constituent calls were helps with passports, and I certainly would have never thought to call my congressman to say, hey, I need help getting my passport, but I guess with COVID, people weren't traveling, didn't extend their passports, and then applied and were panicked that they weren't able to use them. So we can help do a variety of things. And I am your contact. I will send Callie my contact information and she can pass it along. They got me a cell phone, but it has a 202 area code, and we kind of said, you know what, in this area nobody's going to answer a DC number, so they're getting me a 435 number. And then I will give Callie my cell phone number, or my email. So thank you. And if you have anything, please reach out.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. We really appreciate you and all you do. And we know that you're there for us, and we encourage you to reach out to her as well. I think that addresses to all of us. So moving into the consent meeting.
Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I give enough time?
No.
I didn't.
No, is there anybody else?
Okay. Want to be sure if anyone else had a comment.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Clarence Perkins. My address is 400 North 36 West here in Parowan. And I haven't had a chance to see any of the drawings or anything. I don't know if they've been on display anywhere. But my concern is there gonna be a frontage road put along the freeway to enter this project? And if so, who's gonna pay? And were the sewer assessments done? And was it with a flow meter, or did they even check? And how big's the trunk line gonna be? Are they gonna tie into our existing? Are they gonna tunnel underneath I-15? And has UDOT even heard about that? I mean, to go under there with a 1-foot line is big stuff. Vertical drilling is a chore, and it's expensive. And are we going to put in an acceleration lane on Hollyoak from when they come out of there turning right? Because we all know we're a little older and we drive a little slower, and when you're pulling a rig, you don't get up to speed very quickly. And so, I mean, they need to put in an acceleration lane on the southbound to get back to the freeway, back down there by KB. And what about the irrigation water? I don't even know if it's got irrigation water, and if it does, we don't even get a chance to use ours. And so what kind of an impact is it going to do to that? So those are my concerns.
Thank you. All right. So moving on to our consent meeting.
Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to call for a division of the question.
Okay.
I need a second.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. So we'll be separating each agenda item
Yes, ma'am.
in the consent meeting. So I need a motion to approve the minutes from January 13th, 2022, our city council meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of January 13th of 2022, city council meeting.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. I need a motion to approve the warrant register.
I move that we approve the warrant register as printed in our packet.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 8, approval of committee members. We have 3 committees with new members that we will be looking at to approve tonight. The Planning and Zoning Commission, Lily Shirtliff, Troy Hoyt, Jerry Vesley, Jamie Barnett as an alternate, and Heather Pete as an alternate. I need a motion to approve these committee members.
I'd like to table that.
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Economic Development, Nick Lauer, David Harris, and Jared Mibus. I need a motion to approve those committee members.
I move that we approve the committee members presented for economic development.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Shade Tree, we need to approve Ryan Johnson, and I need a motion to approve him.
I make a motion that we approve Ryan Johnson as a member of the Shade Tree Commission.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the action meeting, I am proposing an approval of quarterly town hall meetings. These town hall meetings would be an opportunity for open discussion with the public and the council members. Those would be calendared tentatively for February 15th, May 17th, August 16th, and November 15th at 6 p.m. here in this room. These topics are suggested topics based on community feedback and will be open for additions. You can submit those requests to mayor@parowan.org, and we can adjust those agendas for those town halls according to what you would like to see discussed in our town hall meetings.
Point of information, Mayor, have you checked the schedules? Are these going to interfere with any of our meetings that are already scheduled?
We did check the schedule. We were trying for the first, I believe, Thursday of the month, and we moved it to the second to make it work with our other meeting schedule. Oh, I'm sorry, the third Tuesday. I know we did check, though, to be sure there weren't any conflicts.
Okay. Thank you.
And Mayor, I'd like to say, I think this is a great addition for the public.
Thank you. So I need a motion to approve the proposed town hall meeting schedule for 2022.
I'll make a motion that we propose the town hall meeting schedule for 2022.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Action meeting agenda item number 10 is assignments for the city councilmen.
Mayor, we'd like to table both.
Oh, this is a table?
Make a motion to table both.
I'll second it.
Excuse me.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Action meeting item number 11 is the Evil Water annexation. We had a public hearing at our last city council meeting, and this one is the approval meeting of annexation agreement and ordinance 2022-1-1. I'm sorry, -01-01. I need a motion to approve the Evil Water annexation.
I move that we approve the annexation agreement between Parowan City and Evil Water Land, LLC, and the annexation is presented in the agreement.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, go ahead.
Roll call.
Oh, a roll call. We will start with council.
I'm sorry, there was no mention of the ordinance in the motion, so now we need a motion to approve that ordinance.
Okay. I need a motion to approve the ordinance.
What's the number?
2022-01-01.
I move that we approve the ordinance number 2022-01-01.
I second it.
Okay, we'll require a roll call vote, starting with Councilman Burton.
Aye.
Aye. Please state your name prior.
You got to do the state your name and your vote
Okay.
for clarification.
David Burton, aye.
Rochelle Topham, aye.
Sharon Downey, aye.
Matt Gale, aye.
Jim Shirtliff, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, motion carries. We have a presentation about Parowan City volunteerism, analysis and recommendations by Mr. Joe Tripp.
Thanks for this opportunity, and thank you, Mayor, for recommending this. My name is Joe Tripp. I moved here at the end of June, and I'm new to this area. Only been here once before, and I'm very grateful to be here. I'm grateful for the kindness that's been shown by the community. And in talking with Mayor Halterman, I mentioned something one time, and this is how I ended here. I said, you know, something that I've found is important in a community is volunteerism. In order to bring people together and to accomplish things for for making our town better. And so tonight I'd like to just go through a few items and then show possibly a tool that could be used for enhancing our volunteerism here in this town. Callie, we want to go ahead and go to the next slide. Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks for reminding me. This button. She's going to drive either way.
We wanted the power of the clicker.
Is it turned on?
It was working before. So just really quickly, there's a definition of what volunteers are in the Fair Labor Standards Act. Performing hours of service for a public agency or organization for civic, charitable, or humanitarian reasons, without promise, expectation, or receipt of compensation for services rendered. And so that's how I would define volunteers tonight for this presentation. And then just as a few things that I would like to cover in this presentation, thank you. What are some of the benefits of organized community volunteerism? What are the research findings? What are potential challenges for organizing it here in our town? What methods and tools are available to assist with organizing and our volunteers, and then recommendations, a few recommendations that I'd like to cover. So I think I'm speaking to the choir here about volunteerism, but I know that it brings improved unity and a sense of community. It increases our love and friendship as we work together and serve together. There's definitely a sense of accomplishment in serving, and as the statistics will show, there is value that is given to an organization or a community at minimal cost. And then, of course, the purpose being to improve our quality of life. One thing it also brings is a better understanding of what goes on in our community, and brings transparency to that. There we go. Some findings, some research. I think we can all agree that that's okay. You probably did the last one too. But actually, a couple more up. 5. Well, I think it's 5. Oh no, it is. Yeah, that's right. Actually, I'll go right to this one. This is where I felt it was most important. But it's interesting when you look at the statistics. Typically, most volunteers come from the 35 to 44-year-old age category, but generally that's with children or educational, organizations. And I think we've probably all been there, helping our youth and our children and being involved as coaches or in school activities, etc. But so that is a busy group. Also, another statistic: 72% of volunteers in America are involved with only one organization. So we typically choose someplace we're going to serve. It looks like from the statistics as well that the highest percentage would be for religious organizations, second for educational organizations. And then, of course, there's definitely a sense of enjoyment and making a difference by those who do volunteer. And there's a link in this presentation at the bottom to some of the study statistics. It worked. So some things that I think it's sometimes challenging to organize volunteerism. And some thoughts that came to my mind when I thought about this was, we need to make sure that if we organize something, that it's well defined and that it's meaningful. nobody wants to do something that isn't. And so, we also need to make sure that we've got available people to do it. It's no fun showing up and you're the only one to help. We may be competing for resources in the community. There's a lot that goes on here. Small town, everybody's involved in a lot of different things, so there may be some competing resources that we have to deal with and learn to work through. Certainly, volunteers could get burned out if we ask them too much. One of the challenges is communicating the volunteers, and I was so glad to see a newsletter come to my door yesterday and help me understand what was going on in the community. And so I think being able to communicate effectively what is going on, what opportunities are available would be important. And then, of course, having the required skills and abilities to perform the service. So, and then, of course, things change, whether it's leadership or things change in the community that we need to adjust for. We need to be able to be consistent through that. We need to make sure we've got sustainability of the organization of those volunteers and provisioning the ongoing resources and ensuring we recognize and reward those who are involved in that. I think there's always a need to be recognized in that. And then I think leadership participation certainly enhances that. So, Kelly, would you pull up? I was thinking through what maybe we could do to help organize volunteerism, and just a thought, let's go to the organizational chart, just an idea. Certainly we've got our city leadership, and we've got our city manager here, and city employees. But it would be nice to have a single point of contact for coordinating volunteerism, and then have project managers or supervisors that oversee each of these projects, and then, of course, people for them to help complete those projects. Let's go back to the slide real quick, Callie, and you don't have to full screen it. So I talked about the city newsletter, which was great. The city website could be used to communicate, flyers, posters. Something that I've played with and used in the past that Mayor, we've discussed was a tool called Just Serve. And I wondered if maybe we could just demonstrate that. I've got that up here and I'm logged in. This is a tool that's free. It was created by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but requires no affiliation with that religious organization. In fact, it is not to be used. It says right in the guidelines, it's not to be used for proselyting, it's not to be used for fundraising, it's not to be used for political purposes, etc. Maybe go to the projects menu there, would you, Callie? So here you can search for projects at a specified distance that people have posted on the site. Now, Mayor Halterman, she is on top of things and has created some projects there. Maybe before we go there, let's go to organizations there in the menu at the top left. And if you go down, you'll see Show All. She has created Parowan City. You want to click on that just to see that, and it shows not only the organization but the projects associated with that, and I think that's very well done. Now, what people can do is, if you go into the profile at the top right with the little gear at the top right, yep, you can go to Edit My Profile and go in and mention what kinds of project preferences you're interested in, and then you can be notified on a regular basis when those projects become available. And then also, as you volunteer for them, you can actually volunteer for them online, and the project supervisor, so to speak, the one who posted that, would get notified of your interest in participating in that. So it's a nice tool to be able to get the word out, along with other methods, because not everybody's going to go online and do this, but there may be ways that we could help people to sign up for this and participate, and not just for Parowan City, but for other community organizations. Brian I spoke with the city manager there, and he does get volunteers through this particular service, so this platform. Maybe just because of time, you've got some of the projects that you think are useful, that maybe something that people could do. But Mayor Halterman gave me a list of others that people may be interested in. Some opportunities with the Shade Tree Commission, PAAL, or Parowan Animal Assistance League, TARP Trails, or TARP, which stands for Trails, Arts, Recreation, Parks, Little Salt Lake Service Club, Heritage Committee, Parowan City of Commerce, and of course there's the Winter Wonderland and the Main Street Beautification with them. And I'm sure there are plenty of others. So it seems like there's plenty of opportunities to serve here in the community. It's just getting the word out about when and where and how and what do I need, what skills do I need. Maybe let's go to one last slide. I have a recommendation slide there. So yeah, that next one. So I think, we have the city attorney represented here tonight, and I think there probably are some legal implications that we need to consider. Are there waivers that need to be signed, as people volunteer for city service opportunities? We certainly need to make sure we're clear and organized. We need to make sure that the opportunities are meaningful. We need to make sure that we've got a budget, if there is a requirement for budget, or reserve financial, human, and physical resources. If there's equipment that needs to be stored, is there a place for that, et cetera, et cetera. And then, of course, we need to make sure we organize that, target some volunteers to help with that and implement communication channels. Communicate. Implement, analyze, get feedback, continuously look at improving them, and of course the most important is have fun doing it. I think volunteering for service can be a lot of fun, and it brings a lot of joy to our lives. So just wanted to share that with you as possible something to implement here in the community. I'm sure that there's plenty already organized, but maybe there's some other things that we could consider as a city to organize volunteerism here. And if anybody's interested, I do have some pamphlets on Just Serve that were given to me that you can pick up after this meeting. So, any questions, any thoughts that anyone would like to share? Mayor?
I know just from being in the community a lot with my business and through the chamber, so many people I meet every day say, what can I do to help, where can I get involved, and trying to figure out how to coordinate the volunteers, I think, are key for us moving forward. We have a lot of things we do and want to do, and we have a lot of great people that are going to help and want to help, and I wanted you to hear this option and this recommendation, because I think we all say things we'd like to see happen, but we need to, as a group, be united in pursuing this so that we can utilize our community volunteers. I know in talking to people that have volunteered for decades, they would love more help. I haven't had anyone say we have enough volunteers. Everyone says we really need some more volunteers. And so I don't know if making a motion to pursue organized volunteerism would be appropriate, but any council motion or recommendation would be appreciated, because I would like for this to become an action item for us as a city. And of course, at any time, you can email me and we can discuss this further if anyone has any better ideas. But from what I've studied and learned and in interacting with Joe Tripp. We really feel this could answer a lot of our organizational needs in a way that wouldn't be financial impact on our community, but we would then have the volunteers we needed specifically for things like our parks and trails and all of the other things that are coming. So, any comment from council?
So are you wanting a recommendation from us to put this plan in place, or, because I think it's a great idea. I think having multiple ways to get the word out that we have different projects coming up and we could use volunteers, I think that's a great idea. So I mean, I don't see anything negative against that.
What commitment does it require from the city? Is there a financial commitment or what?
And I think that was one of my recommendations, was to investigate that.
I think that's the motion we need, is to further investigate and set up a committee of us or the community to go through these recommendations and do all of the things that need to be done before we just jump out into it. It's just like his presentation. There's steps to go through in order to make a volunteer effective, and that's the thing the city needs to do before we do anything else, is let's get our ducks in a row and figure out what it is that we want to do before. So I would move that we investigate further the USERV and the volunteerism as presented by Mr. Tripp, and personally want to thank you for coming in and talking to us.
My pleasure.
I'll make a motion to second that.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
All right, action meeting item number 14, Parowan Chamber of Commerce report from a chamber representative.
What about 13?
No, the other one.
Skip 13.
Let's
Skip
do
13
13.
first.
Parowan Prevention Coalition, Southwest Public Health Department, Breanne Veeder. I didn't see you back there because you're not Breanne Veeder.
Brianne asked me to, if that's all right with you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, council members, and fellow community members, good evening. My name is Jessica Smith. I'm a parent in the community, and I also serve as the Parowan Elementary PTO president and a member of this coalition that will be discussed here tonight. For those of you who may not be aware, Parowan has started a local community prevention coalition. The coalition is made up of multiple sectors of the community who are connecting and coordinating together to make efficient use of limited community resources. We are striving to make Parowan a strong community that helps support and develops youth by using prevention science and evidence-based programs. I would like to introduce Logan Reed, who is the Director of the Prevention Services for Southern Utah. He has been a key factor in getting a coalition running for Parowan, and he will go over some of our current local data regarding our youth and drug use. So I'll turn the time over to Logan. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks for giving us some time and inviting us back. So just as a quick reminder, we presented to the council about 6 months ago the proposal to start a coalition that would focus on preventing problem behaviors among youth, specifically with substance use and mental illness. And so we wanted to give you kind of a report on where we've gone with that and what the next steps are. And as part of that, we were asked if we would come back and present some more current data on what we're seeing with substance use and mental illness, specifically here in this community. And so that's kind of what my goal is today. I wanted to quickly give you a reminder about what we talked about last time. And could you play the presentation, or either do that or just go to the next slide, either one?
Where do I make it big?
Click this little button right down there in the corner, that little, yeah. There we go. The formatting's a little messed up, but hopefully you'll still be able to see what I was going to show. So
just quickly, what I talked about last time was the importance of bringing the community together to be a part of any prevention services that we want to do. If we want to try to prevent substance use and mental illness, which we can, the research shows that we can do that, but it takes more than just one person. We need an entire group working together. We need people who can represent all the different sectors of a community helping with this issue. And so that was why we proposed starting a community coalition that would focus on this. I mentioned last time that we wanted to use the Communities That Care model, which is an evidence-based model for creating these kinds of community coalitions, and it's been shown to have a really big impact on communities that are using it. In fact, I mentioned just briefly last time some of the research that has been done in different states around the country, including right here in the state of Utah, showing that towns that were using this particular model saw on average a 35% reduction in a lot of different problem issues, including delinquency, drug use, depression, teen pregnancy, suicide ideation, etc. And so that is the model that we have used to organize a group here in Parowan. We already have representatives from numerous different sectors that have come and participated and already started doing some training, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But as I mentioned when we were here last time, the council asked if we would come back and present some current data on what's happening with those particular issues, and so that's what I wanted to do here. I'm going to go through this quickly, so I just hand-picked a few things to show you. We have a lot of data. This presentation could be a couple of hours if I went into all of it, so I won't do that. I'm just going to share some key things with you. And the first thing that I want to show you here, so this data that you're looking at right here is from all of the Southwest 5 counties combined. So you're looking at our 5 counties, and we've combined all of the grades that take the survey that we do to gather this data, and so that includes 6th through 12th grades. One of the questions that we ask on the survey is whether or not students have ever used different types of drugs in their life, and we also ask them if they have used them recently, like within the last 30 days of taking this survey. And so the data that I'm showing you here is the question about if they've used in the last 30 days. And the reason I chose that one to show to you is because I'm assuming that if they've used within 30 days, they're probably using on a regular basis, and I'm much more concerned about that than I am about somebody who tried alcohol one time and then never did again. So I'm showing you all of our grades combined for the Southwest 5 counties, and you can see 2007 all the way through to 2021. And what that will show you is that the most used substance in all of our counties combined are electronic cigarettes, typically using nicotine in those, but they can also use any other substance that they want. Marijuana is the number 2 most abused substance, then alcohol, prescription drugs, traditional combustible cigarettes, and then inhalants. I showed you this slide first just to give you a comparison. So now I'm going to show you the data just from our students in Parowan who took this survey. And so that's what you're looking at here. And the first thing that I want to point out is some really good news. So first of all, if you look at 2013 to 2021, you'll see that there are some really significant reductions in substance use for a number of these different drugs. Alcohol, cannabis, electronic cigarettes, we're seeing reductions in all of those things. Also, the good news that you'll notice here is that these percentages are low. Now, note that I've combined all the grades together that have taken this survey, so if I were just showing you 12th graders, these numbers would be a little bit higher. If I was just showing you 6th graders, they would be a little bit lower. But this is the average, and what it shows you is that most kids are not using drugs. I mean, more than 90% of our kids don't use drugs. So that's really good news. Also good news that we're seeing some reductions. Some of the concerning things, though, that we're seeing here is that from 2019 to 2021, we saw some increases. So you'll see that with alcohol, for example, we saw a fairly significant increase in the number of kids that were using or consuming alcohol. Also, with prescription drugs, you look down the list of the prescription drugs, and there's a significant number, or significant increase in the number of kids using prescription drugs. And then right there in the middle, combustible cigarettes. not only was there a significant increase from 2019, which was actually much lower than the prior trend to that, but even if you go back to 2017, 2015, there is an increase in the number of kids using combustible cigarettes. We think that part of that is because of the increase in electronic cigarette use. So more and more kids are starting with electronic cigarette, which is really easy to use, easy to get your hands on. They develop an addiction to nicotine and then switch to a traditional combustible cigarette to get that particular fix. So I wanted to, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me, but I wanted to show you just some specific data with some of these more used drugs that I've illustrated here. So this is just looking at alcohol, and I'm just showing you 6th and 8th graders. Really, I'm just showing you 8th graders. We didn't actually gather data from 6th graders in our 2021 survey. So I only have 8th, 10th, and 12th grade data to show you, and we actually had so few 12th grade surveys turned in that I'm mostly going to focus on the 8th and the 10th graders here. But what you'll notice is that with our 8th graders, in 2017 and 2019, none of them reported regular use of alcohol. In 2021, all of a sudden we've got 8% of 8th graders reporting that they have used alcohol within 30 days of taking this particular survey. That is not specific to Parowan. So just to clarify, we're seeing an increase in the younger students, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, with all drugs across all of our 5-county area. So it's not something that is only specific to Parowan, but we are seeing it here in this community as well. Our younger students are becoming more and more likely to use drugs than they were in the past. And you're going to see that trend with a lot of different things. So when we look at combustible cigarettes, and when I say combustible cigarette, I'm talking about a traditional cigarette that you light and burn. So here I'm showing you the lifetime use as well as the 30-day use. Remember, I'm not super concerned about lifetime use. I like to focus on the 30-day use, the regular use, and you'll see exactly what I was talking about. We've seen an increase with 8th and 10th graders using a combustible cigarette, but the sharpest increase was with our 8th graders. 2017, 2019, very few of them reported using a combustible cigarette. 2021, that number is significantly higher. And just to put that into context for you, this number is much higher than the state average as well. So that's something that we're seeing more particular to our rural communities here in southern Utah, a significant increase in combustible cigarette use. Really quickly, I just wanted to show you on electronic cigarettes. Again, you're going to see that same thing. We actually saw a significant reduction in the number of 10th graders that are using an electronic cigarette. We think that part of that is because we've been doing a lot of education for that grade level on the dangers and harms from electronic cigarettes. But we've seen a significant increase with our younger students. So you see that again there with the 8th graders. I'll pause here. I'm going to switch now and show you some of the data that we gather on mental health. Are there any questions about the drug use data that I've showed you so far? All right, I'll keep going. One of the questions that we asked on this survey is, in the past week, have you felt isolated from others? And I've tried to put this into context here by showing you what the state average is. So statewide, in the state of Utah, we had over 71,000 students that took this survey. So that yellow bar that you're seeing there is showing the average of all of those 71,000 students that took the survey in those different grade levels. Then the gray bar is showing you the number of students who said yes to that question in 2019, and then the blue bar is showing you those that said yes to it in 2021. You'll see that with our 10th graders, our rates are much lower. So we have a fewer percentage of 10th graders here in Parowan who said that they have felt isolated from others. And that has gone down from 2019. So that's really good news. That's the direction we want to see that statistic going. But we see the opposite with our 8th graders. And again, this is not, I mentioned before, this is not just Parowan. We're seeing this in the whole southern Utah area. A significant increase from 2019 to 2021, and we're just slightly higher than the state average. We ask if they have felt sad or hopeless for 2 weeks in a row. I often tell people it's not abnormal for kids to feel sad or hopeless. it is abnormal for them to feel that for 2 weeks in a row straight. And so that's the reason we asked the question that way, and you can see that with both our 6th and our, that says 6th, that actually should say 8th. With our 8th and our 10th graders, we saw a significant increase in the number of kids who are telling us that they have felt sad or hopeless for 2 weeks in a row. And you'll notice the trend. For the last 6 years, we've been seeing an increase with the number of students who are feeling that way. This is showing you those that seriously considered attempting suicide. More good news, with our 10th graders, those numbers have gone down significantly, but with our younger students, the rates continue to go up. You're looking at 15% of 8th graders here in Parowan who seriously considered attempting suicide in 2021. We also asked them if they have purposefully harmed themselves without the intention of dying, but just to cause themselves pain. And once again, with our younger grades, we're seeing a significant increase in the number of kids who report hurting themselves, purposefully causing them pain. That could include cutting or burning. And then finally, I want to show you just a couple of more slides where I have overlaid 2 different questions together. So we asked students if they have felt depressed or sad most days during the past year. And what I'm showing you here is the number of students who said yes to that compared with how often they have dinner together with their family during the week. So 0 times up to 7 times if they had dinner together as a family. And I think this data is really telling. It's really interesting to me to see such a strong connection between how much time families are spending together at meals compared with whether or not kids say that they are feeling depressed. So you can see that the likelihood of them saying that they've been depressed or sad most days during the past year goes down significantly the more often they're having dinner together as a family. And then just to show you a couple of others where we've done this, I did the same thing with suicide and screen time. So we ask a lot of questions on this survey about how many hours a day students are spending on their screens outside of schoolwork. So we specifically ask them how many hours they spent after school on social media, on YouTube, or playing video games on their phones or tablets. And then I overlaid that with whether or not they said they had seriously considered suicide in the last year. And you can see that the more hours a day that they've spent on their phone, the more likely they are to say that they have seriously considered suicide. This last slide that I'm going to show you is connected to this. We know that screen time is connected to sleep patterns, and we also asked students about how much sleep that they're getting during an average night. And so I compared that also with suicide. So you're looking at whether or not they seriously considered suicide and how many hours a night they get, how many hours of sleep per night they get. And so again, you can see students who are getting 8 or more hours are very unlikely to say that they have seriously considered suicide. Those who are only getting 6, 5, 4 hours, their likelihood of considering suicide greatly goes up. One of the reasons that I wanted to show you these last couple of charts is to demonstrate that this data that we gather gives us a really good snapshot of what's happening in a community, and it also starts leading us towards some strategies and some interventions to try to prevent some of the problems that we're seeing. And that's the goal with this coalition that we talked to you about 6 months ago. So really quick, let me just show you what we've done so far. We organized this coalition. We invited representatives from multiple different sectors in the community. We brought them together, and we've done a series of trainings for them, introducing them to this Communities That Care model and to the science of prevention, and starting to look at some of this assessment data that we've gathered to see what specific issues we want to target and address here in Parowan. We have also secured some funding to start doing some prevention interventions and services in the community as we build this coalition and as we get everything organized. We've got opportunities for a lot of different funding sources to do things in the community to try to mitigate some of the problems that we're identifying. And so that has involved us starting to create an action plan. We still have a lot of work to do there, but we've at least gotten started. So the next steps, and really the final thing that we're here to talk talk about today, is we want to complete that training with the coalition, with these members who are coming together to address these issues. We want to finalize an action plan with them, and then look into some more assessment, not just this data that I'm showing you here, but there are some other things that we want to gather to get a better idea of what we need to do to focus on issues here. And then we want to start implementing programs and strategies. One of the first things involved with that is that at our last meeting, we decided we would come back and give you an update here, and they also planned a community education night for me to come back and share the data that I've shared with you here and a lot more. So we're going to spend about an hour providing specifics from this data to parents that are interested. So we're going to partner with the school, and we're going to host a parent night, and we'll present all of this information. So that's one of the first things that this coalition wanted to do, is start getting some of this important information out to community members, particularly parents. The next thing, and we talked about this when we were here 6 months ago, is that we want to establish somebody here in the community that can help guide these efforts. So I work for the Behavioral Health Center. We've got Bree back here who also works for the Behavioral Health Center, and we help communities organize coalitions like this. We provide them with the training, we provide them with this data that I've presented to you here, and then we offer them coaching and support to help do things specific to their community that follow prevention science. But in order for this to really work well, we need somebody here in this community who can guide these efforts. I mentioned when I was here 6 months ago that if communities organize using this Communities That Care model, they become eligible for a lot of money to help them to do that, but they have to show that they're willing to put some skin in the game, if you will, by finding somebody specific to the community that can help with this. So what I proposed to you 6 months ago, and again, you asked, the council asked if I would come back and talk more about this. There's a couple of different ways that communities in southern Utah have done this. In some cases, they bring somebody in at the city level. So the city actually hires a part-time person that will help guide these efforts and push the action and strategies forward. And if that's what you wanted to do, we could immediately secure funding that would help you to do that, so that you could have somebody in place. I mentioned last time that the state of Utah offers up to $10,000 match to any community using this Communities That Care model to hire a person to help run it. So whatever funding you came up with, if you came up with $2,000, the state would match that with $2,000. The state health department will do the same. So they would put in another $2,000. My agency will also do the same. So we would put in another $2,000. That matches up to $10,000. So if you came up with $10,000, each of those three entities would match that with an additional $10,000. In addition to that, once you have that in place, you become eligible for a lot more money to actually do programs and strategies. So just to give you an example, this is fortuitous. Yesterday, Bree and I got contacted from the health department. They're looking for communities that will implement an evidence-based program in schools to help students deal with anxiety and stress. And so they came and said, do you have any communities that have a coalition that we could run this funding through? And they had $12,000 that they're looking for a community to give it to, but they want the community to have a coalition like this that they can run it through as part of their action plan, so that they can make sure that it stays active and that it's actually being implemented. So there's a lot of opportunities like that if you have something organized that could bring a lot of funding into the community to focus specifically on substance use prevention and mental illness prevention. So I'm throwing that out to you again as a proposal to consider. I will just tell you that a number of other communities in southwestern Utah have worked in conjunction with their county commission. So for example, we have a coalition just like this in Escalante. They just secured a $125,000 a year grant from the federal government because they were using this Communities That Care model, and that's a 5-year grant. So they're going to get $125,000 for the next 5 years that'll renew every year, so $125,000 a year for 5 years, and then they have the opportunity to apply again for an additional 5 years. The way that they did this is the city partnered with the county, and the county commissioners put up $8,000, the city put in $2,000, and that got them to the 10, and then the state matched that with $10,000, the health department matched it with $10,000, and my agency matched it with $10,000. So I'm trying to be really careful not to tell you what to do or how to do it, but I want you to know that there are opportunities for that if you're interested in doing that. We have some other communities that have not wanted to do it themselves, and so they've asked if they could contract money to us to hire somebody to work specifically in their community, and we're always very happy to do that as well if that works better for a community. So, for example, the Bryce Valley or Bryce City Council started with somebody that was hired through their office. They decided that it would be better if we controlled the position, so they contracted their money to us, and that's how we do it there. So, anyway, we would really love to see something like this in Parowan, primarily just because you already have a coalition going. You have people who are ready and willing to really focus on this and start implementing programming and services. There's money available to help you do that. The key factor is getting a paid person who lives in the community who can guide those efforts. So I would encourage you to consider how you might do that. We are happy to help in any way that we can in that process, and that's all I have. Any questions for me?
I've got a question, just real quick here, just out of more personal. How is the accuracy on these, because to me, if I was a kid that age, I probably wouldn't tell anybody if I was drinking or smoking or whatever not.
It's a really good question. I could spend a lot of time talking about it, and so you tell me how in-depth you want me to go, but I'll just let you know. So first of all, what the research shows is that kids tend to be pretty honest on these surveys if they know that it's anonymous. So if they know that their answers can't be tracked back to them, they tend to be honest in what they say, and so we make it we go to a lot of effort to make sure they understand that it's not connected to them. They take the survey at school, but they do it on a computer, and so they log into a system. They don't put any identifying information in there other than they're asked their age and they're asked what grade level they're in. If, for example, those don't match up, if they tell us an age that doesn't really seem feasible at their grade level, their entire survey gets thrown out. And we have a number of different validity checks like that we use to try to make sure that we're getting really accurate data, including, I want to make sure we don't have any students here. Ready for you're going to get the inside track here. So we have a question on the survey. I mentioned questions asking about drug use, right? So we asked them, have you used alcohol in the past 30 days? Have you used tobacco? We also asked them if they've used phenoxidine. Phenoxidine is not a real thing. We made it up. It's not a real drug. So if they say yes to that question, we know that they're lying because it's not a real drug. Their entire survey gets thrown out. We have 7 different validity checks like that we do. That includes, we have some questions that are the same question, just worded slightly different, and we separate them at different places in the survey. But the answer should always be the same to those questions because they're really asking the same thing. If they don't answer the same on those, their entire survey gets thrown out. My very favorite of all of our validity checks is the very last question on the survey is, how honest have you been taking this survey? And what we find is that if students have been goofing off and not being honest, if we ask them about that at the end of the survey, they'll tell us. Of all the surveys, I mentioned that we did 71,000 surveys in the state of Utah, only 1.7% of them didn't meet one of those validity checks. But because they didn't meet those, we threw those surveys completely out. They weren't there. The next thing that I do, and this is the reason that I really feel confident with the information that we're getting, is that I always compare the data with other data sets. So for example, if I see an increase in number of kids who say that they're using alcohol underage, I'm probably also going to see an increase in how often police officers are running into that they're running into underage drinking at parties, that they're running into drinking and driving incidents involving youth. We check hospital data. We also would assume that if more kids are consuming alcohol, there's going to be more presentations to the ER for accidents and incidents. And what I see is that the trends always match with all of those different data sets. When I see an increase on the data, this data comes from the student health and risk prevention assessment that we do. And so whenever I see an increase there on a substance, I also see an increase on those other data sets from law enforcement, from schools, from health departments, from hospitals. So what I typically say is that this is self-report data. This is students telling us about their behaviors, and so you should take that into consideration when you're looking at the data and understand that it might be a little bit off. When I show you a stat that says 6% are doing something, maybe it's not 6, maybe it's 7, maybe it's 5. And that's the reason that I show you multiple years, so that you can see the trends, because the trends are what we see matching all of our other data sets. So when we see an increase in substance use, we also see an increase in incidents in the schools with that substance. We see an increase with law enforcement. We see an increase in hospitals. So I feel very confident that the trends that we're seeing are accurate, even if the exact percentages might be a little off. That might have been more information than you wanted on that question, but it's a really good question.
Have you seen anything of how the pandemic has increased anything with the kids? I know it's affected adults.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I imagine it does kids too.
So we did this survey here in Parowan in February of last year. So it was almost exactly a year ago that we did this. And so we added 11 questions to the survey specifically about the pandemic. I didn't include that here. I am going to share those when we do the parent education night at the school. But I will tell you, just off the top of my head, because I was looking at the data earlier today, there was a higher rate of students here in Parowan that said that they had been sick because of COVID. And there was a slightly higher percentage compared to the state average that said that as a result of that had impacted their schoolwork. But there was a smaller percentage here compared to the state that felt like the pandemic had had an adverse impact on them. So we actually asked them, did the pandemic or did COVID-19 impact you in a negative way? And almost 50% of students here in Parowan said no to that question. So what that means, we know that the pandemic has had a really negative impact on a lot of people, including students. 50% of students said that it had a negative impact on them. So one of the things that the data shows is that it has impacted them in a lot of different ways, but it was also interesting to me to note that half of students said that it hadn't. So while some are being really negatively impacted by it, a lot of students haven't seemed as fazed as we might have expected. So. All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Agenda item 14, Parowan Chamber of Commerce report.
Hi, I'm going to be real quick because dinner's on the table. But, so, we're with the Heroin Chamber, Tricia Harris, Secretary, and kind of relationship collaboration. But what we would love to do, and I don't know how it all works, but, and Jed is our membership, I can't remember exactly, business ambassador. So what we would love to do is these are just samples of envelopes that we would love to leave with the city that anytime, I don't know the statistics, I'm going to ask Stacy tomorrow, but anytime somebody comes in to open up a business, we would absolutely love for you guys to hand them one of these. Of course, the cost of coming out of the chamber. You don't have to do anything but just hand them one. The license plates are just because you guys are awesome, and Jed's the artist on those, and so we just wanted to give one to all of you and say thank you. But this is just a sample. It's really quick. We put it together quick, so there'll be better information. But it's something to hand the new businesses so when they come into Parowan, they feel supported. Of course, we want to support them and help them as much as we can. You know, we're all in this together, and as business owners ourselves and as people in business, we just want to help them out. So this is just something we're asking if we can bring to the city and just have you guys give to new businesses as they walk in the door. So I don't know how that works, if we need to like have a motion, or if you want to get back with us, or...
And just so you guys know, this business page right here, excuse me, is just like kind of a rough draft. We know it's not all the businesses in Parowan, but it's just chamber members.
And if you have a 16-year-old, because I had to have her help me, you actually can scan the QR code on a couple of these pages, and it will take you to the website. And so, like with the businesses, if you need a, let's say, if you want to know about Parowan Cafe hours, you actually can click on the QR code, and it will take you to a page that will take you to their link. And so it's just a way to get people to kind of support locals, just support our businesses. And yeah, we're wondering if you guys could hand them to the new businesses that come in to get business licenses. Awesome.
Is there a reason why we can't?
No.
I mean, it's not costing us any money, you're paying for it.
How many of these can you deliver? Who do we contact?
Who would we contact if we were running low or?
Just me or Jed. We'll leave you like a stack. I figured, we'll probably give you like 30 at a time so we can update the information. But yeah, you can just call me and Jed when they're out, and we'll bring you more. But
could I ask something? Stacy, I don't want to step on your toes. We have to send out the notices for renewals. Is there anything that you could add that we could send out with that notice of renewal? Just to
we would love
for the existing businesses also, not just new?
Yeah, no, that'd be fine.
Just something that we can fold up and send in the envelope.
As the business ambassador, one of my duties is to help other businesses utilize the resources that we have right here in town. A lot of business owners, we encourage them to also shop local. There's a lot of resources for their local businesses that are provided right here in town that a lot of people don't think about. And so that awareness helps everybody. I've often said that a rising tide lifts all the ships in the harbor. And that matters a lot when we can turn dollars locally over and over and over and keep our economy strong here in Parowan, keep our kids working, keep our families employed. It makes a lot of difference. And so, yes, that shouldn't be a problem.
that would be awesome. We'd really appreciate that. So.
Well, whether it's mailed out or whether it's added to our webpage, or just so that they have a source to contact you guys that have all the information for them.
That'd be awesome, and yeah, we would love to just let people know that we're here to help, and yeah, it's fun. It's fun to get together with businesses and, like Jed said, lift each other. So I'm going to take off and turn it over to Jamie. Thank you guys so much.
Yay for me. When are those getting mailed out? So we know when.
I believe they've already gone out, have they not, Stacy? This year they've already
They've
gone out.
They've had some maybe for next year? Okay, sounds good. All right, I am Jamie Barnett. I am just going to do our 2021 year in review for the Chamber. So during 2021, we continue our efforts to provide our local business owners with resources to help support and build their success. We provided quarterly newsletters with pertinent information on local, state, and federal programs available to them. Early in the year, we finalized our Utah Life Elevated grant that had been awarded to us in 2019. We used a $10,000 grant for our billboard, marketing, multiple marketing projects, and to help fund our 2020 Winter Wonderland and advertising opportunities as well. We did editorial and I can't even talk, articles about Heroin and about all of our wonderful amenities, our trails, our arts that the community has to offer. Molly did write a whole bunch of those articles for us, so we really appreciate that, and we'll miss that opportunity. We also hosted a blood drive in February at the Fair Building, which we filled up all the spots. The blood donors were really gracious and nice, and we're excited to work with the American Red Cross again on that. We added meadow signs to our benches on Main Street, the ski benches that we got from Brian Head. We provided the flowers in the boxes and the baskets that line Main Street up on the poles. With many hours of volunteer work, we maintained them all summer long, and the response from the community was wonderful. We got lots of compliments about the flowers and how pretty they looked and everything like that. The Chamber hosted 2 meet and greets this year. The first one was held at Sweet Pea Farm and Orchard, where town residents could come and enjoy the outside, have some refreshments, and meet the candidates. The second was held at the Fair Building. We did something new this year where we let all of the residents ask any questions that they wanted to get answered by the candidates. We had a huge turnout for that, way more than what we anticipated, and so we were excited with that. We also recorded both of the meet and greets and posted them on our website, and we had over 600 views on that. So we felt like we got a lot of information out to the community about who was running for what positions and what their political beliefs were. For the second year in a row, the Chamber ran the hometown holiday market. This event was a huge success. We estimated that it brought over 1,000 visitors to Parowan just for that day. Our goal was to make them stay in Parowan, so we wanted them to come for the parade at the beginning and stay all the way until the candlelight parade at the end, and then walk through Winter Wonderland at night. So our villagers were super happy. We had, like I said, over 1,000 visitors. What was nice is we saw people walking up and down Main Street, stopping at our local businesses there, and then eating and dining at our restaurants. So we felt like that helped them out a lot. We also did our first art tour this year at the same time as Hometown Holiday Market. We had around 290 visitors visit local homes around Parowan and like Your Story, Utah, and some other booths that we had. There was 10 artists that were featured, and many of those artists got to sell their works, and they really enjoyed it and appreciated it. We were, we're also going to be doing that event 2 times a year, so the next one will be in July at Sweet Pea Farm and Orchard, and that's just going to be all of them together, so you don't have to go anywhere, and then you can purchase and look at the art there. You can just come and look or buy what you want. Our biggest event of the year by far was Winter Wonderland. We've done it for 2 years in a row now. We worked on getting sponsors for the event and received some really great sponsors, including also residents of the town donated. We expanded the venues this year, adding Candy Cane Lane, Let It Snow, and the wood fire barrels, which the kids and everybody really enjoyed that. We had more volunteers this year to help us, which was great, and we always are asking for more volunteers if they want to come. We estimated that we got over 3,000 visitors over the whole time at this event. We hosted hot chocolate night every Saturday, and how we counted how many visitors we got then is by the chocolate cups. So we estimated we got 200 to 300 visitors every single night then. We had Christmas characters running around. You can have your pictures at them. We also made s'more kits where you could roast them. And then, like I said, we had our fire barrels so everybody could keep one there. A lot of the visitors we found out were coming just from Las Vegas, believe it or not. They found out somehow by our advertising and marketing, so they would just make a trip out of it and come to Vegas. Come from Las Vegas down to Winter Wonderland to see the display. Many of them were staying at the Days Inn and then dining at our local restaurants, so we felt like that helped our businesses a lot with that. Let's see here. A way that we track that, just so you guys know, I don't know if you're aware, but we have ornaments that you can write your zip code on and then hang it in the tunnel. So we have people as far as Florida and Mexico coming to see Parowan in our exhibits. And it's getting lots and lots and lots of recognition. More people are finding out about it and coming, so we're super happy about that. Tricia already went over the welcome packet for you guys, so if you have any questions on that, you can feel free to ask. We've also provided members of the businesses with training materials and classes that they can go to help with their businesses, help with accounting with their businesses at Cedar. Many of these classes they can get for free or at least paid half of for that, so we like to give our business owners great information. We just had elections, just barely, so I wanted to let you know that Danny Abbott is now our president. I am the vice president again. Tricia Harris is our secretary, and Dayla is our treasurer. Bob Whitelaw is our board foreman, and then Christina Harris and Lindsay, I cannot pronounce Lindsay's last name. Do you know how to pronounce it, Molly?
Swindinsky.
Yeah. So I don't know if all of you guys know her, but her and her husband own U&I Photography, and they bought 20 acres on Old Highway 91 that they're going to build a house on in the county. So they live in Aspen Cove right now. She is going to be in charge of the suite tour. We really want to get that up and running and have our visitors to know where they go for cinnamon rolls. It's kind of a little bit confusing right now. We want our business owners to work together, so if somebody's out, then they can say, go and support so-and-so. So we're really excited to get that up and going. My mic just stopped. That's okay.
That means your time is up.
Put the quarter in.
Your time's up. Your mic's cut.
Other than that, we would love to have, work with the city on anything that you guys want to be involved with or help us be involved with. Our meetings are every Wednesday at 10 o'clock at the Visitor Center, and so we would love for any of you guys to come and attend, or anybody else that wants to join a member. We actually have just the residents join the chamber. They don't have necessarily a business here in Parowan, but they do have businesses, and they just join. So we would love that. We have lunch meetings held quarterly. In that packet that we gave you, it tells us where the lunch meetings are. If you guys ever want to come to that, you're more than welcome. We have about 70 members right now. We would love to see our membership go up. And is there any other questions? Okay, thanks so much for
I would ask for a motion to approve the membership packets going out to the new business applicants, and then next year, those to be included some kind of correspondence with the business licenses that are submitted for renewal.
It's okay, I talk about
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm not quite sure what I would like to propose a motion that we support the sending out of the pamphlets to new business owners, and then also supporting sending out flyers or whatever we need to do that way for the renewals.
Representing the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, representing the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Gotta give us time, Rochelle.
Point of information there, just curious, the number 13 was under action. Were we supposed to take any action on that?
That needed to be moved into the work meeting. Anything that does not have an action, anything on the action agenda has to have an action taken.
Yeah,
If it's informational, it needs to be moved down to the work meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
So what should we do now, being that we've already gone past that?
Well, you can go back to it. It's the mayor's meeting, she can do what she wants.
Okay.
You're the boss.
We can move 12. We can make an action on that, because we still can say if we make a motion to approve pursuing organized volunteerism.
I thought we did.
We did.
We did 12, we just didn't do anything
It
with
was 13.
It's
Okay, because we didn't make a motion, but,
Yeah, we just didn't
tabled
take
it.
any action.
Okay, and then 13, we would move to the work meeting. Do I have a motion to move item number 13 to the work meeting?
I'll make a motion to move item number 13 from the Action Committee, Parowan Prevention Coalition, to the work meeting. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't look at me.
We know what we're doing, folks.
Yeah, it's a little shaky.
I'll second that.
Wait.
See, we're not.
Point of clarification, I don't know if that's right.
It sounds good.
For this meeting or for a following meeting?
I would say for a following meeting, because I feel like we need to discuss.
What we need to discuss, and I don't know if this is the time, but in an action meeting, an action has to take place.
Right.
Something has to be done. If it's informational, then it needs to be moved into the work meeting. A presentation that doesn't require an action is in the work meeting.
Or bring it to a work meeting first, and then if
there's an action
then we would
necessary.
move it to an action.
So the presentations need to be in the work meeting, and
Okay.
the action.
The question is, do you want to move it to this work meeting, or do you want to move it to another work meeting?
Well, we've already got
We've already gone through it.
So it's gotta go on the next meeting.
Yeah.
We've already
So
got
it would need to
Yeah.
go to a next meeting.
Another meeting, please.
This way we need to talk about.
Do we need to vote on that?
You got a
Okay.
motion, did you get the second motion and the second?
Yes. Yes. Sharon motion,
Oh,
I second.
Okay, I just didn't know if Callie had that. Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item 15 is an easy one. We are proposing that the planning and zoning meeting time the time be changed from 5:30 PM to 6 PM. Do I have a motion to approve that time change?
I make a motion that we change the planning and zoning meeting time from 5:30 PM to 6 PM.
I'll also second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The Shade Tree Commission has been in the process of receiving and reviewing bids on the removal of 2 park trees at our library park. One of them is, through risk assessment, is threatening our playground equipment as well as our restroom building. And then the second one is closer to the doors into the old, commission chambers, the meeting room, and that one is just hollow and dead. So we've received 4 bids from qualified tree services that are licensed and approved. And so we have those bids to present, and we need to vote on pursuing removal of those trees.
Maybe a point of information or clarification, isn't this a matching bids? I mean, don't they have grants and then we're matching them?
Yes, we have, go ahead.
Yeah, some of the grant money will be used here from that shade tree grant that was received. This is their proposal to use some of that grant money.
So is this our money coming out, or just a portion of that?
It's only a portion of the entire grant.
Of the contract?
Is there a percentage?
No, our match for that 10,000 was a minimum of 2,500 in-kind cash.
Okay, so whatever bid, then we're gonna have to match it. 50/50, I mean,
No, we're gonna have to match it somewhere in the city. We're gonna have to put $2,500 cash out somewhere in the city to receive your full grant.
Okay, but we don't have to do it entirely on this one.
No.
Yeah.
But you can use part of that match. This fulfills your commitment. It also, you can use part of the park's maintenance money.
Mm-hmm.
So you can divide this up. We just simply we'd like to get them in there while the ground's still frozen.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So
we can do a shop split between the parks and the shade tree.
Shade tree.
Sure, absolutely, yes.
So do 50/50.
We just need to get one, just whichever one you'd like to use.
Okay.
Was there a recommendation from the Shade Tree Committee or anything? Which bid they...
All of them are well qualified. It's just that they're, just get to pick the bid. I don't know if there was a recommendation.
For the local business, but as far as here in Parowan.
Same.
Oh, you got 2 of them.
Yeah, there are 2.
So Councilman Burton, do you want to speak for this Shade Tree Commission regarding reviewing those bids?
Well, they reviewed them, and I think, did they do this when you were there, Councilman Shirtley?
Yeah, we were waiting on this last one. Roots and Leaves came in after the meeting, so.
Okay.
That last one.
So these are all bids for the same project, and they're all qualified, so I think the recommendation was to, of course, take the lowest bid. So if there's any other discussion, if there is not, then I'll make a motion that we approve the Dakota Veeder's bid for $2,450 for this project.
What's the name of his business?
Lifetime.
Lifetime.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lifetime Tree.
Thank you.
Lifetime Tree.
And I will second that motion.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Now, are we planning on replacing these trees once they're taken down, or do we know any of that?
I don't think the shade tree has got that.
They haven't made that determination yet.
The one
that I'm
is
aware.
surrounded by other trees, the big one, the big desirable species over by the playground. But that has yet to be determined on the one up by the library. But I would certainly hope so.
Me too.
All right, moving into our work meeting, council reports, updates, old business follow-up, and we can just start with Councilman Burton.
We had a meeting yesterday at Meeks Park where there was a lot of different community members, as well as shade tree committee members, and, well, there was just individuals from all different areas there. It was well represented, and there was ideas to try and to formulate ideas as far as to get something moving forward on Meeks Park. I talked to Richard Hepworth with DWR, and they're, ready. They've got the funding to move forward with that dredging. They just want us to make some commitments on dates so they can make sure they have the equipment secured. And we need to move forward to get the pond pumped. And, I'm sure that won't take very long, so that can just be timely. But, and he stated, that Richard Hepworth from DWR stated, as soon as we get this complete, he already has the fish that are, whatever they do, growing them. And they're committed and ready to put in the pond when we get it done.
A growing fish.
And he did discuss with me, is there another term for it?
No.
But, anyway, we just discussed this a little bit, and this is just for FYI, just information, didn't say we're gonna do it or anything, but he mentioned about because a community member mentioned about the aerator, the oxygenator, whatever, and he said they've been doing this in several different locations, and we talked about different options, and he says they most likely have sources that he can secure funding to take care of that if we want to do that.
That's great.
So without the cost in the city anything. We talked about one that was not pumping oxygen in, but like a fountain that goes up for aesthetics, and then the oxygen that takes the oxygen and, replaces it, and so. And that would help for the freezing issue and things like that with the pond to make it more aesthetically clean. It'd just be nice. So there's things going on there that I think are going to be positive to bring that Meeks Park to fruition. And I don't mean to say that, Jim, I'm sorry. It was there. It's just we need to
maintain it like it should have been
maintain it. Because as you know, Councilman Shurtleff dedicated a lot of time initially to getting that park, going.
The ag kids put a lot of time and effort down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
and we're working with I'm sorry, go ahead. I just said we're working with to get that 4-leg organization together. Again, the Heritage Foundation, the DWR, the city, and the schools. And I think we got everybody that got to make contact with the schools. And Jessica Stratton, right?
Yeah, that should be your contact.
Okay. So I think things are moving forward there, so hopefully the community will be happy because it will be a benefit to the community. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I didn't have any meetings.
I went on a field trip. And I haven't done that since college. But I went up to Fillmore with Jeremy, and I've got to tell you, I worked for the power company for close to 30 years, and I was just asking him all sorts of questions, and I'm sure in the back of his mind, I'm sure he wanted to say, is she ever going to be quiet? But I am in awe. We went to a UAMPS, and it was just an introduction to UAMPS, and I was in awe what UAMPS does for small towns and cities. the power company where I work, they had 2 different departments that took care of the same work for one. It's a large company, yes, but there's, 30, or is it 50 towns and cities?
52?
52, something like that. I was just amazed at UAMPS, and they are fantastic. It was great, and I didn't talk quite as much coming home. And that's all I have to report.
I didn't have any.
We had a historical preservation meeting, on Monday. Mr. Carvalho is wanting to paint the corner next to the drugstore there on the south side. He's bought that and wants to, paint it and put a new awning up and make it so his wife can display her flowers and things like that. The committee, he brought in some paint samples, and we asked him to come back with a little, toned down a little bit. We felt it was a little bright, but the concept and everything, we just wanted some different options besides the 2 that, and he was very happy to do so. So we'll have that, and that'll be a great addition there on the side with his plans to paint the front and the brick and brighten that up and make it more pleasing there on Main Street. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Point of maybe information, Councilman Shirtliff. I interrupted you last meeting, and you were not able to give your report on the water.
Yeah, I got a little flustered.
And so I don't know if you want that opportunity.
I was afraid you were going to start shooting at me again, and that's...
okay.
The water, 3 weeks ago we met. The water board met. I don't know if you're aware, but we're working on a pond up the canyon to help with the recharge, and we got information back. All of the entities involved, the BLM, the UDOT, us, the various people are excited about the opportunity there. And then on the ordinance, the committee is looking at our water ordinance to see what changes need to be made, and after they have a chance to look at it and we discuss it at our next meeting, it'll be brought before the council to evaluate and vote on. Anything I missed, Cleve?
I'll say something.
Yes, sir.
Isn't that pond for the secondary system?
Yes.
Not recharge?
Well, yes, you're right. My mistake.
Can it be used as recharging too?
Well, no. We're gonna do like we did down at Meeks. We're gonna put some of that clay off the hillside to make it so nothing gets through it.
This is additional storage for our pressurized irrigation.
So that we don't have to turn it down the ditch and lose it. We can divert it into a holding pond, so we can fill up the forebay, let the forebay down, fill up this pond, refill the forebay, so that we've got more water available for the secondary system. Thank you, Councilman Burton.
Anytime.
Appreciate it.
And it's going to also have fish, too.
There's the possibility that BLM...
Halibut.
No halibut. They have halibut in Vegas? But, no, one of the things that's really interesting about this pond is that when Cleve initially started, you know, when you bring BLM, Parowan City, UDOT, that's kind of a volatile, and it was amazing. Everybody fell into line.
The mayor was there.
What's that?
The mayor was at that last meeting with...
And
And I was.
Yeah, but they all really got on board because they all had an interest in making it. So UDOT gets what they want, the BLM gets what they want, because it's not only a benefit to our secondary system, but it's an additional recreational area on BLM ground, and we can tie it in with parking for the, Frisbee golf, and share a parking lot so that the BLM gets credit for recreational in addition to being, beneficial to Parowan's secondary water.
I was at that meeting and I was impressed with their proposal.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
So now that's just in the works and we're waiting for all of the approval and,
Just write the check, we'll make it.
yeah, anybody got a couple million extra dollars, they could,
Not that much.
not that, well, we can use the rest on the Old Rock Church. So that's all I have, Mayor, thank you.
All right, thank you. And I really appreciate everyone coming out tonight. It's important that you're here, and please feel free to contact me at any time. I keep feeling like it's easiest for me to just say mayor@parowan.org as you look into some of these changes and ideas that you might be noticing. I hope you've seen an improvement in the sound system. That was something we addressed. Also, suggestion of putting the podium where it might be a little easier to speak and be heard and seen. Any suggestions that you have are valuable, and you're an important part of what we do here, so thank you for being here tonight. We're going to move into the closed session to discuss one or more of the following if necessary.
You gotta have a motion.
You gotta have a motion.
Who's
gonna do
I'll make a motion to go into closed session to discuss one or more of the following of the character, professional competence, or physical or mental health of an individual and contract negotiations.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.